But you wouldn't hang this colourless surround on your wall, so the frames are stained walnut brown, using a wood dye that gives off potent fumes.
You stay not a long time here. It's like you drink alcohol.
The clock doesn't just need to look right, it needs to sound right too. So the next stop is the workshop where Holger Kienzler has been pulls the bellows open, filling them with air. Gravity closes the bellows, which forces air down through each of the two whistles in turn, making the cuckoo sound.
The first fellow to make a cuckoo clock way back in the 1700s was actually trying to make a rooster clock, but he couldn't get the thing to sound like a rooster. No problem. Called it a cuckoo clock. It was easier to change the bird than the clock.
Hey, a lifelike cuckoo sound still comes from the same synth, a whistle, and some glue. The small leather bellows are glued onto the top of the whistle. If the bellows close too slowly, the sound will be too long, so they add a tiny weight to ensure the correct speed.
You need to test a little bit what weight you need to make a real cuckoo.
The pitch is perfect, but in golf is still missing the vital centerpiece, the clock mechanism. SBS Fine Technique have been making clock components for 160 years. The 129 parts that make up each mechanism are all manufactured on site, then hand assembled on a line that runs like clockwork. These are pendulum clocks. Winding the clock raises a weight, storing energy. The falling weight is then used to turn the cog or the escape wheel. Each swing of the pendulum releases one tooth of the escape wheel, allowing it to turn just enough to move the hands of the clock forward 1 second.
These clocks keep time very well, but really you buy them for the way they look. If you're serious about punctuality, and what you're actually after is the latest atomic clock, they'll stay accurate to the second for 300 million years.
The last piece of Ingolf's 196-piece puzzle is the cuckoo's house, which is built here at the Riesner Woodworks factory. They use plywood and local pine. Plywood for sturdiness, pine for the clock's classic texture. With the roof and tiles glued on, the house is looking good, but it still needs a clock face. And that's why they call time on tradition and break out the cutting edge.
Yeah, this is a laser cut machine. If you would serve by hand or whatever, a dial with numbers in the hands, this would cost probably more than the total clock today.
The design is fed into a computer and the laser goes to work.
No idea what temperature. I would be very hard, yeah. You can use your finger to test.
Ingolf now has all the components to make a cuckoo clock. But it's not simply a case of assembling 196 pieces. The clock needs to come to life. Its cuckoo, whittled in a workshop just around the corner, must move every hour. So a block mechanism is attached to both bellows and burr, marrying movement with sound.
The second bellow is lifting the tail. And if you lift the tail, the head is going down, saying, cuckoo, hello.
Cuckoos come in various designs, and Ingolf's wife Connie has painted more birds than she'd care to recall.
Many. Thousands.
And with a get together, the mechanism goes in, clock hands are attached. The carvings are fixed.
Hey, that's a finished clock. We did it.
Prices range from €200 to 15,000. Because a cuckoo of this quality never goes cheap.
This is Josh Gates. Josh Gates is a cool guy. Here's Josh in the sky. Here's Josh in the snow. Here's Josh on a boat. Here's Josh with a bow. Here's Josh discovering an ancient Mayan temple.
Look at it!
Whoa,
That's crazy.
Josh Gates is doing whatever it takes to uncover the world's biggest mysteries
Come on, let's do it.
and look cool while doing it. Expedition Unknown, Tuesdays on Discovery Channel.
There's claims out there and they're worth a fortune.
Often bought for pennies.
5,000 for the whole claim?
They can be worth much more. We work with claim owners to get their properties up and running. This is our version of the American dream. If there is something here, we are going to find that out. Look at that. What do you think of that?
Reclaimed, Mondays on Discovery Channel.
Surfing, huge waves, massive lineouts. But what if you prefer life in the slow lane? Paddleboarding, surfing's laid-back cousin. It's the fastest growing outdoor activity in the world, with more than 3 million boarders. The best paddleboards are handmade, perfectly balanced, and tough enough for rivers and oceans. How do they do it? Jarvis Boards in Austin, Texas. It's 4 hours drive from the nearest beach.
Back to packaging was back in the 1950s when the cryovac process, which sounds terrifying, the cryovac process was used to package turkeys. And now they use vacuum packaging for lots of things.
3 hours later, they release the vacuum. The glue is hard, and Tony can remove the board. It's now one complete piece, but not a complete board. Wooden sides will be added by shaper Josh Miles, along with a nose and tail to protect the parts of the board that experience the most impact in the water.
Oh, this starts getting old, Dusty.
Wood is organic. It naturally absorbs water, causing it to swell. A big issue for something designed for rivers and oceans. The answer is to protect the wood by wrapping it in a thin layer of fiberglass and coat it with water-resistant resin. The fiberglass becomes transparent on contact with the resin, which also sticks the layer onto the wood. To harden the resin, it's sent to Tony's homemade paddleboard site. Under the UV light, chemicals in the resin react with each other, giving the board a tough, waterproof finish and a lovely tan. The process is repeated 4 times over 4 hours until the board is set. It looks pretty slick. Too slick, in fact. Stand on this and you'd soon be in the creek with just a paddle. So Tony attaches traction pads to add grip. Finally, a leather handle is bolted in place and the board is ready to launch. Tony's boards weigh a solid 10 to 12 kilograms. But the finished article is a thing of grace on the water.
Today on How It's Made. Tissues. Travel trailers. Slippers. And motorcycle helmets. The origin of facial tissue may be Japanese. A 17th century historical account describes Japanese blowing their noses in small soft papers, then throwing them on the ground. Modern-day tissues were first marketed in the early 1920s as a disposable cloth for wiping off cold cream. While some sneezers still prefer traditional cloth handkerchiefs, the disposable paper tissue is the implement of choice with the sniffling and lens cleaning masses. This brand is made entirely of recycled paper, specifically used computer printer paper, because its short, flexible fibers produce soft tissue. The half-ton bales go into a giant machine called a pulper. It breaks up the paper into fibers and mixes them with water. The result is called pulp. Next, it injects the pulp with air. This causes the ink to detach from the fibers and cling to the air bubbles, which rise to the top and drain off. The machine then feeds the now ink-free pulp through several rollers. Like an old-fashioned wringer washing machine, the rollers squeeze out the dirty water. A screw conveyor then breaks up the pulp and moves it to the next station, which rinses it with clean water. Now the pulp is ready to become tissue. That transformation begins in the paper machine. It injects the pulp evenly across a screen conveyor belt. Then the pulp passes through rollers that press out the water. The extracted water drains down through the screen. The pulp then passes through a hot air dryer and exits the machine as a thin 10-foot wide sheet of paper. Each jumbo roll coming off the machine contains about 37 miles of paper. The converting machine is the giant contraption that now transforms this paper into tissues. The first station unwinds 2 rolls of paper, applying modest tension to remove waves and wrinkles. The next station mates the 2 papers, producing a 2-ply sheet. The following station holds the sheet steady with suction, as a knife slices across it every 8.5 inches. You can see the cuts in slow motion. At the next station, these 2-ply sheets meet up with 2-ply sheets coming from the opposite direction. Here's what that looks like in slow motion. And at full speed. The sheets enter a mechanism that folds them in half in an interlocking fashion. In slow motion, you can see how they interlock. Each sheet folded in half, one side inserted into the fold of the next sheet. This happens at a speed of 16 folds per second. This produces a huge stack of folded tissue 5 feet wide. The next station separates the big stack into small ones in preparation for the final cutting. Each smaller stack contains the precise number of tissues the tissue box will contain, from 80 to 250 sheets, depending on the format they're packaging. The smaller stacks now travel to the next station, where an automated circular saw cuts every 8 inches, producing the final tissue size. The interlocking folds ensure that when you pull out one tissue, it draws the next out of the box ready to use. To produce 3-ply tissues, the converting machine processes 6 rolls into 2 sheets of 3 plies each, then folds them in the same interlocking fashion. The finished tissues travel by conveyor belt to the automated packaging line. A robot with multiple suction cupped arms grabs flattened boxes one at a time.
opens them and lines them up on another conveyor belt running alongside the tissue belt. An automated arm compresses the tissues and slides them into the box. The next station glues the flaps closed. The top of the box has a removable tab with clear plastic film underneath. A tight slot in the film makes grabbing a single tissue a non-issue. Hitching a travel trailer to your vehicle is the ideal solution if you yearn to travel freely with all the conveniences of home, or love camping but want far more comfort than a tent has to offer. Today's trailers come equipped with beds, mini kitchen, dinette, toilet bowl, and shower. This 16-foot-long travel trailer is made of aluminum and composite materials. Unlike traditional fiberglass trailers, there's no steel or wood in the structure, so it's resistant to both rot and corrosion. It's ultra lightweight and has a pop-up roof with windows. The trailer's A-shaped chassis is made entirely of aluminum. The only steel components are the tongue that attaches the trailer to the vehicle's hitch and the axle. Workers insulate both with duct tape. They bolt the axle with brakes installed to the chassis, then line the chassis with styrofoam insulation. This prevents the copper propane line from touching the aluminum. Contact between the two metals can trigger corrosion. Next, they mount the trailer's plastic freshwater and wastewater tanks, then glue the aluminum floor to the chassis. Other workers construct the trailer's two sidewalls as a single piece. On a large vacuum press, they spread glue onto an aluminum sheet. Then they lay down the wall's core, a honeycomb-shaped sheet of polypropylene. They coat it with glue. The honeycomb core makes the wall rigid, while adding minimal weight. They cover this sandwich with a protective fabric sheet, then with an airtight cover. After sealing the perimeter, they vacuum out the air for about 4 hours. This pulls everything tight, compressing the glued layers so that they fully adhere to each other. When the wall comes out of the press, they lay down templates, and with a router, cut it into two sidewalls. They also make openings for windows. And holes for trailer lights. After inserting a rubber seal in each hole, they install the lights. Next, a porthole-style tinted upper window. They glue it into the round opening just like a car windshield. The sidewalls are now ready. Workers affix them to the floor with an L-shaped aluminum bracket. Once the walls are up, workers saw out a door opening. Then install the door, sliding windows, toilet cabinet, king-size bed, dining table, and kitchen unit, which has a sink and propane stove. They install a rubber-sealed trapdoor into an opening in one wall. This gives outside access to a storage area about the size of a large suitcase. Upholstered cushions hide under the seat storage compartments in the dining area. They construct the roof the same way as the walls, only in a teardrop-shaped vacuum press. This aerodynamic shape creates 75% less drag than a traditional box-shaped trailer roof. When the trailer is parked, you can raise the roof to reveal fixed windows on both sides. Workers glue this tinted tempered glass to each aluminum window frame, glue the frames to the roof, then install taillights, roof vents, and solar panels to recharge the battery powering the lights, vent, and water pump. They install the roof, then mount the hinged back wall. With assembly finally complete, workers apply decals and test all appliances and systems. Cables connect the roof to the back wall, so when the roof lifts, it pulls up the otherwise collapsed wall. The trailer's interior layout is versatile. The king-size bed converts into 2 twin beds, and the dining table can be moved to create 2 distinct dining areas, a 2-seat and a 5-seat dinette. All the comforts and amenities of home on wheels.
For centuries, the world's greatest minds have tried to solve the world's greatest mysteries. My name is Rob Riggle. I'm chasing down fresh leads on the questions that have been perplexing humanity through the ages. What are you doing? Get the Holy Grail. I'm gonna be rich! What is it with the Scots and tunnels? What are you guys trying to hide? I'm gonna show these locals how it's done.
Rob Riggle, Global Investigator. Premieres 8 June on Discovery Channel. From barren deserts to mountaintops.
Don't look down.
I'm Ryan Pyle, adventurer. Discover the breathtaking beauty of Asia.
Amazon is killing me. We watch as nearby clouds whip by, floating gently over the slopes below. The wild world of Asia beckons. Do you hear its call?
Expedition Asia with Ryan Pyle. Premieres 2nd June.
Ocean is pretty striking.
We're back with an alarming new report on the state of the world's oceans.
About 8 million metric tons go into the ocean every year.
We're living in a plastic pollution crisis.
I believe we're at a tipping point right now. I've seen more policy change globally in the last 8 months than I've seen in 20 years of my career.
There is hope if we work together. The story of plastic. Premieres 5th June on Discovery Channel.
There's nothing like a pair of slippers to soothe your tired tootsies or warm your frigid feet. Designed strictly for indoor use, slippers typically have a soft sole and looser fit, and are made of supple, often cushy materials, so that feet feel comfortable and cozy. This style of slipper is known as Charentes, named after the region of Charente in southwestern France, where they originated in the 17th century. The slippers are made primarily of felt, which is made from layers of compressed wool fibers. This French slipper factory uses a particularly thick and durable type of felt composed of 5 wool fiber layers. To cut the soles, workers position a cookie cutter type die with a specific shoe size in production. Then a 5-ton press forces it through the thick felt. After cutting one sole of the pair, they turn the die in the opposite direction to cut the second sole. Once the batch of soles is cut, they mark the size and ink with a rubber stamp. For the rest of the slipper, called the upper, they use fabric that's felt on the outside, velvet on the inside. The cutting process is the same as for the sole, with the die corresponding to the size in production. Once the uppers are cut, workers lay a stencil of the embroidery pattern on each one and lightly mark the design in pencil. Seamstresses embroider each slipper individually by machine. The yarn is made of hemp. For this model, the design is applied in a chain stitch. Felt flowers give the design 3-dimensional features. With the design complete, it's time to stitch the back of the upper closed. Next, they cushion the opening at the top with velvet binding, bending the wide velvet ribbon over the edge of the felt, so that the binding runs along both the inside and outside of the slipper. They cover the back seam with a back strap, a felt strip with a loop at the top, the slipper onto your foot. Next, they turn the back of the upper inside out in order to attach the sole. They position